2 Corinthians 5:17.
Therefore, if anyone is in Christ,
If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation.
he is new in creation.
Old things have passed away.
Old things have passed away.
Behold, all things have become new.
Behold, all things have become new.
Guess we'll start with my childhood. I was very blessed. I have amazing parents who have done everything they can for us. They have sacrificed more than I even know. And we were raised as they told us that we were Christian, and we were raised with Christian values and morals, but we never went to church. And my parents don't really trust or have any sort of comfort in church or with religion because of different experiences they had gone through on both sides. My dad had a lot of really traumatic, bad experiences, and so did my mom.
As I grew up, in my household, there wasn't a lot of faith or religion, but I always knew there was God. As I was growing up, I wasn't quite sure who he was or what it was. And so as I grew up, it led me a lot of different ways. I always tried to be good, but I was not a very good person.
When I was 18, I went through a pretty rough breakup that ended up causing some issues long term, and I started going out and partying with all my friends. So I started vaping, and then that turned into started smoking weed.
As I was growing up, and I was just kind of lost. I didn't know who I really was as a person. When I was growing up, I got bullied a lot. I'm sure as you see me, I've got a scar on my face, so I was bullied a lot as a kid. I just didn't know who I was as a person. So as I, met different kinds of people, as different circumstances came up, I just always chose the path of fighting and resistance. I was constantly getting in trouble with bullying other kids because I wanted to feel significant compared to how I felt when I was younger.
So at about 19 or 20, I moved out from Middleton to Boise with one of my friends, and I got a job at a daycare over on the north end. A few weeks in, the owner, it was a husband and wife that owned the daycare, she had told me that she was a, quote, ghost hunter and a psychic medium. And she asked if I wanted a tarot card reading. One day on a Friday night, she brought her cards with her, and one of my coworkers stayed as well. And she started doing this reading for me. And she explained that the ghost that she communicated with and saw and spoke with that had followed her entire life gave her these answers. And I did not expect anything to come of it until she started getting everything right. And it freaked me out, but it also had me hooked at the same time. I had always had a lot of anxiety, and I had some control issues. So the fact that what she was telling me is that, hey, yeah, no, these things will tell you anything you want to know. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
And as that happened, I became less and less like me. I started going into drugs and alcohol as a teenager. I mean, as soon as I hit 12, 13 is when I started doing drugs and alcohol. And with my friends, we would go out and cause havoc and get in fights and rob people. And it wasn't, it didn't feel good in the moment, but it's something I continued to do. And I was just really lost.
So I got pretty deep into witchcraft after that, into the occult. And I was doing psychic readings for other people. I was doing it at parties. I was communicating with these beings all the time, basically all day and night. I would hear these voices telling me things about different people. And most of the time, unfortunately, they were right.
My deepest point was when I was about 16. I started doing meth, and I was at my house, and there was this man that kept coming to the house. And the first time he showed up, there was just something in me that told me to listen to him, even though I was high and, trying to enjoy my weekend away from going to school. I just had something in me that told me to listen to him. And so I'd sit down with him, and at first we just stayed outside for 10, 15 minutes, and I talked to him a little bit about Jesus, and he would tell me all about him and tell me that there's salvation out there. And, after about 15 minutes, he'd leave and I'd go back inside and I'd immediately start doing drugs again. And then I wouldn't think about him. And then the next week it would happen. And I didn't realize it till now that I kind of think of him as like a guardian angel. Maybe he saved me in the time from overdoing something at that moment, but he's been on my mind a lot, and he just kept coming back. And it was 15 minutes, and then I eventually invited him inside, and we would have full-on hour conversations. But when he passed, I think a part of me passed as well, because I didn't follow through with it. I became lost again.
2021 is when I met my now husband. One of the things that we eventually bonded over was the occult. After we met and we had started dating, the demonic activity kind of spiraled down from there and got much worse very fast. I would allow these demons to possess me. I would be doing these readings and I would be like, okay, whoever wants to talk, come talk. I was very, very anxious. My chronic anxiety had gotten a million times worse. I was severely depressed. I was on multiple different medications to try to manage it, in addition to smoking weed all the time. That addiction got very, very bad, and I was smoking constantly. I wasn't sober for 6 years, and the only times that I wasn't smoking weed, I was drinking. I was numb emotionally. The only time I really was able to feel positive emotions was when I was high. And all the other time, even when I was high, I was still angry. I was still depressed. I was still anxious. I was still on edge. I was still snappy and irritable. It was a very, very dark time and a feeling of hopelessness that I can't even describe.
I started getting in more trouble, and as an adult, I was completely lost. For the longest time, I didn't take care of, the path that I was on. I didn't want to do anything in life as far as going to college or even saving up to have a good credit or anything. So I let all that stuff go to ruin. I eventually wanted to be a lost man in the forest.
It got to the point where I wasn't going to take my life because I wouldn't do that to my family. But if I died, I didn't care. It is what it is how I looked at it. Like, if it's my time to go, then whatever. Fine. Doesn't matter.